Welcome to Topline Hotline.
Welcome back to Hotline, Topline, in your face. It's Thursday, where everything is in its place. Get your burritos.
Wow.
Everything's just for Asad to laugh. I just do everything.
Love it.
That was
He does this every week. He'll just like come up with something on the fly, and he doesn't like. We do
It's
this,
like
right?
as if it's
I
interesting.
know he's not even thought about it, like because I know, and in the minute he comes up with these things, it kills me. I love it.
I
I had a burrito for the first time in like years the other day.
So
it's
good.
intense. A burrito is an intense experience.
That's a
Things are
calorie
flying
bomb.
out.
It's got a lot going on in that old
There's a
burrito.
lot going on.
It's Topline Hotline. We're here with this week's co-host, Andrea, Kayal, and we're here to talk about the burning questions from Go-to-Market that you have for your estimable hosts, Sam Jacobs, Andrea, Kayal, Asad Zaman. Hopefully you ask them in our hotline, in our Topline channel in the Pavilion Slack, which anybody can join. You don't have to be a Pavilion member. Or you asked it somewhere on the internet, or you asked it in the CRO channel. But regardless, we hope you asked it, and we're here to answer it. And without further ado, I hand it off to Asad Zaman, who will tell us what the question is.
Well, this one's interesting. It's an emotional question. So, hi all. I'm currently faced with the reality of missing Q1. At this point, I have no idea what caused this miss. I've been in this job for 7 days. For context, this is a person 7 days into a CRO gig at a 300-person tech company, like a solid-sized company. So I'm initially looking for some best practices that I can use to help get us back on track for the year. What creative initiatives have you used to pull revenue forward into Q2 to help make up the miss in Q1? I know this is tricky given I don't know the rationale and reasoning yet. I'll be running a diagnosis in parallel. What can I do? I guess the first question that came to my mind is that you're 7 days into this job, the Q1 number is not your responsibility. No one's firing you for missing it on day 7. Why is this person concerned about this? Sam, like when you hear that, there's obviously this is a person with a great track record here. They're stressed about something. There has to be a reason for it. What's the reason that I can't land on?
Well, the reason is probably that they wonder if they made the wrong decision joining this company.
And
I appreciate what you're saying, that it's quote unquote not their fault, but I also appreciate the accountability that they're saying, well, it's my fault now. I'm here now. So what can I do? Because the thing about recurring revenue businesses and the issue with them is that a miss in Q1 is way worse than a miss in Q4 because the rev rec compounds. It's not all the same. ARR is not the same thing as GAAP revenue recognition. And you need those 9 months of revenue. And if you don't get it, that's why every day that you join is better than the next day, because you have 2 days of revenue versus 1. So I appreciate that they're concerned.
I like it.
I applaud it. But I think the person to answer this question is the person that has a background
Andrea.
in demand gen. So Andrea, what do you think? How would you pull revenue forward? I'm sure you've had to do this before when you were CMO and salespeople were missing.
Yeah. Oh my God. First of all, like 20 years of gap closing. This is like what I do for a living but the first point is, well, this is probably why you were hired. So a miss is not, like they don't want to miss anymore. Now you're here. But yeah, 7 days, like anybody who's holding you to that certainly feels unreasonable. However, the first question I would be asking is, how are the goals defined in the first place? The way a pipeline the way a revenue goal gets defined, at least for new business, is that you have some semblance of your end of the year number. Obviously that's like built quarterly, but then you have a close rate, which determines the pipeline. That's how many opportunities. So was it an opportunity issue or was it a win rate issue? Like, did you not have enough to fill it, or were like the sales reps just a mess or whatever? Or did it slip because people were pushing budgets out or whatever? So first ask about the goals, ask about the complexion of that. I think that's really important. And then separately, once you know what the balance is, it is a gap closing document, and you enlist both sides of the teams, the AEs and the marketers, to say, we missed by this dollar amount. It's pushing into the next quarter. We need 50 opportunities. I want everyone to sign up for every single opportunity that they're going to deliver to this plan. And so creative ideas, hopefully you have a head of marketing that's doing this, only thinking about this, but assuming it's an opportunity issue. That's how many newsletters are we going to add How much are we going to do in LinkedIn? How much are we going to do in Google? Like if those are your channels or whatever, how many events are we going to do? How many webinars are we going to like list them out and just plot the course, like create a forecast similar to what you would do with the sales team. So that's where I would go for that.
So Andrea, when this person says pull revenue, it's not necessarily like pulling of revenue in the way that the brain naturally thinks of that word. It's more like we need to make this up in Q2.
Yeah,
So
push it
how do
forward.
we make everybody needs to perform a bit better? How do we get there? More opportunities, better
Exactly.
closing,
Like
all
if
of
you're
that.
supposed to do 50 to produce like $1 million in revenue that quarter, well, now you have to pull like 1,250,000 into that quarter. You know, you have to pull the $250,000 miss forward, and you need to be delivering on the opportunities. Now, depending on your sales cycle, it could be hard to make that up. Like if you have a quarter sales cycle, you need to generate all the opportunities you need for that quarter a quarter before.
Yeah.
Or like just make sure you don't miss for the consecutive months by like just having good planning system in place.
So
how do you feel about discounting, Andrea? Because one of the easiest ways to quote unquote pull a sales cycle forward, if the natural closing date was Q3, would it be like, well, if you sign now, it's 10% off?
I mean, hell yeah to the discounting. I get like you don't want to show like how much we like gave off list price, but if it's not affecting your gross margin, who cares?
Who the F cares?
Yeah.
Andrea's a pro.
Well, they would say discounting is a sign of weak salespeople, brand weakness. It'll hurt us. We're training our customers to always wait for the discount. What do you think?
First of all, they're always waiting for the discount anyway. Number one, who cares about like the optics of the sales team? We hit the number. Like truly, I've never gone into a board meeting where I like hit the number and somebody said like, how weak is the sales team? I'm like, do you care actually? Like, let that be my problem. I can work through like those things. But I don't think like you train customers about anything. If anything, the customers are now so savvy on how to negotiate
100%.
that like you're just getting crushed on every conversation you have all the time. So give them the discount and like move on to the next one.
We literally wait till the end of the quarter, and then we're just like, hey, by the way, we actually position the discount to them. We're like, hey, we'll buy now, but this is what we're looking for. And we get yeses like 9 out of 10 times.
100%. I'm putting the discount into, like, if I need the product, I'm like, look, we'll buy this, but like, this is the discount we need.
And also like discounts, people tie their ego to this idea of price and discounting, that like if you've discounted, like for some reason you're not a real business, or like it's just a mechanism.
Awesome.
Like as long as the top line number is bigger than the middle number, then the last number is
Well,
good,
baby,
then that's
I
a
love
great
that.
number. There we go.
I got in like actual, like almost like physical fights with this CEO from his last company, because he would be like 5%, like this company's hundreds of millions of dollars. Why would we even give 5%? I'm like, because your product, like your ego is so tied.
Yeah, it's so tied
to this baby that it's like obstructing your view of like what needs to happen. I'm like, we're gonna miss by 50%. You give a shit about 5%? Like, be quiet.
Yeah, 100%.
Be quiet. It's enough, you. Whoever you are, we're sick of you.
Oh, it's so
with the
annoying.
face and his eyebrows. Oh my God, those eyebrows.
It's so annoying.
So bushy. The monobrow. Pluck your eyebrows, pal.
I think it's like if you also understand that in a lot of times you can, when you are discounting, you can get something in return as well. And like sometimes we forget that you can trade something here. And so if you're giving, if you've missed and you need to discount a bit to make up the number, there are things you can get out of that help you create momentum down the line. Like let's say every person you discounted for 10% gives you a video testimonial. There's no world in which that doesn't matter and doesn't help create more momentum down the line. So I think people need to be more relaxed.
They're giving you their money in return, actually. And today it's really difficult to get money from people.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
This is a great hot take, by the way, because this is a controversial. Yeah. It's so easy to take a poo-poos, because I don't want to swear at poo-poozers on people that discount and say, oh, it's weak. And I love the perspective that both of you have.
Yeah, like relax. Like I have this conversation internally all the time. And so one other question on this. So we've discussed
It's
why
enough
this
with the questions, Asid. It's
Yeah,
enough.
it's what I do. It's what I do. Okay, so this person, we've discussed why they're feeling like this and the fact that it's somewhat rational to feel this way, and it's a good sign. It's a accountable person. We've discussed like how you should think about solving this problem from a diagnosis perspective, from a strategy perspective. What about communication to other stakeholders? Like, Andrea, any advice for this person when it comes to communicating around all of this to the CEO, to the board? Like, everybody's feeling way more anxious than this person because they've been probably dealing with this for a while. And so how do you communicate this as a new CRO? What are the steps?
I honestly always start at the planning. Like, I need to work with the FP&A team on like how we got here in the first place. Who thought this number was reasonable? And and not one specific person, but like show me the rationale, around that. Because truly, if it is a win rate, if there, what numbers were used, and then I would look at what got missed in that planning. Like, was it just so aggressive that it was so aspirational? Nobody said like, well, it's actually going to take some time for our win rate to improve. They just moved it up. Was that a company one year where they just moved up the win rate? And I was like, but like, that's great, but it's aspirational. So I'd get into a lot of the diagnosis, I think, first to understand the why. And then I would socialize how I would plan to fix that.
Yeah, I like that. Anything to add, Sam?
Nope.
That is it. That is the episode then.
Thank you for listening to Topline Hotline. God bless all of you. Leave us 5 stars in the iTunes store. Join our free Slack channel that's hosted within the Pavilion Slack. Come to CMO Summit, but don't ask me for a free ticket. There's no more free tickets.
Do people ask you for free tickets?
It's so annoying.
You're kidding. Like, people ask you for free tickets?
All the time.
That's ridiculous.
You get a free ticket, I'll do something later for you. Great. Why don't you buy the ticket and then do the same thing later for me?
How about I'll reimburse you?
No more free stuff. It's enough. Give me some money.
This is the barter system. Like, we're like, down the line, I'll pay you back. I owe you, Sam. I owe you. Wow. That's wild.
It is
okay.
wild.
On that note.
God bless you all. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Andrea. You were a great co-host this week.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.